Death's Oath players rejoice, as I am back with another update video for the 3.21 Crucible League on your favorite build, the Death's Oath Occultist, and obviously my favorite build as well, as you've probably noticed the last couple of leagues. In this video I will be going over all the updates in the skill tree, the changes that you will notice in the build, and also talk a little bit about leveling and preparing for league starting this league as well with the Death's Oath Occultist. So first of all, let's have a look at the new skill tree. For the people who don't know, they are making some pretty big changes to the skill tree once again this league, and they are also kind of rehauling some of the masteries that we are using as well. And a big mastery that a lot of people are probably scared about is the fact that the Grace mana reservation is being removed from the evasion mastery. And a lot of people are asking like, hey, are we going to be able to keep up all our auras and everything like that, and how big of a nerf is this? Well, honestly, it's not that big as long as you get this mana mastery now. A 12% increased mana reservation efficiency of skills, which require us to get Mind Drinker in this situation, but this is kind of good placed for us because we need 4 different nodes here anyway in order to activate our Inspired Learning. And a sad thing is that they removed the Chaos Resistance and the Max Chaos Resistance and therefore Corrupted Blood from this spot here. So no free Chaos Res anymore and no free Corrupted Blood immunity. So that means that we're lacking some quality of life features now, but it's fine. Just get you know, a Corrupted Blood immunity on your life flask and just go with that. You know, that's what most people do in most builds anyway, so it's going to be fine. But yeah, anyway, so the mana reservation is not going to be a problem as long as you get this from now on. So therefore we don't have this mastery anymore. All the Chaos Masteries have been completely gutted, so we don't really have any Chaos Mastery here. We don't really have anything here, but we do have one new Chaos Mastery, that is the deal 10% more Chaos damage to enemies which have Energy Shield. Since we don't really damage Energy Shield at all, that means that anytime any monster has an Energy Shield, we will just deal more damage. And quite often a lot of monsters can have Energy Shield, and sometimes you can roll on your map that monsters have Energy Shield. So this is just basically more damage. So that is really nice that we're at least getting that. But we are losing the Wither Infect and we're losing the damage over time multiplier, which kind of sucks. And they also gutted the Wither Effect of Corruption. So we are losing a little bit of damage. I was looking around, and stage 3 mapping and bossing, Death's Oath, we lost about like 800k or 1 mil DPS or something like that. Or that depends on if you count when they have Energy Shield or not. You can see it goes from 5.5-ish to 6 again. So it's like situational, you know. But yeah, we lost some damage here. On the end game mapping version, we lost about 1 mil DPS, and in the end game bossing version, we lost about 2 million DPS. But that's basically for bossing, because they nerfed Wither effectiveness, right? Like, we don't have as much Wither effectiveness. And Wither kind of only applies when we're doing bosses, because when you're running around and mapping, you don't really apply 15 Wither stacks like straight away, and monsters just die instantly anyway due to like Death's Oath and us having Profane Bloom. So the mapping is basically going to be the same, but for bossing it is getting a little bit nerfed. But I would still say that having like 5-6 million DPS, or like in the endgame bossing version having 10 million DPS, is more than fine to do all endgame bosses except for Ubers. So it's kind of just the same as last league. Last league and the league before that, I did all endgame bosses except for Ubers on this build. And it's basically going to be the same now. You just have slightly less DPS, but it's not going to be like groundbreaking or like absolutely build destroying here. So yeah, the build is basically the same overall. Like, it's not massive changes. Like I said, now you need to get some Chaos Res on your gear a little bit more, and we don't have Corrupted Blood immunity anymore, but instead we get some more life and stuff like that, because we actually can save some skill points here and there now, and we can kind of just go get whatever. This time I even opted to put Evil Eye here in the in the build and in the path of building. Evil Eye enemies you curse take 6% increased damage. That's a nice little DPS boost. So having like a small class jeweled Evil Eye is going to be quite nice, you know, if you want to get that. It's not something you must have, but it's going to give you a little bit of damage, you know, when clearing and for bossing as well. And yeah, I mean, like, that's basically it. Everything is the same, like the survivability and everything is the same. The build didn't really change that much. As you can see here, it's all the same gear as it was in the last path of building that I had. Like I said though, now you need to get like maybe Chaos Res on some stuff, but you don't really need that much Chaos Res. Like, it's on 1 or 2 pieces or something like that. It's not really gonna be too bad. And yeah, that's basically the skill tree and the changes for this version here. I will put all the path of buildings to stage 1, 2, 3, and the different endgame versions, the bossing and the clearing ones, is going to be in the video description here. And they're also up on my forum guide, or you can also get them in my Discord if you want that. Now, another thing that we're going to look at here is obviously also the leveling here. And this is something that a lot of people are very scared about. There has been some big changes to how Poisonous Concoction work, which is the skill gem that we were using for leveling earlier. Now, a lot of people are saying that like, hey, I don't really like Poisonous Concoction anyway, can I level with anything else? And to that, I always say you can do whatever you want. If you want to do Caustic Arrow or Toxic Rain, if you want to go with like Bane and stuff like that early on, and if you want to go another spell, like some people even play like cold spells and, you know, stuff like that, like you do whatever you want, it's fine, as long as you enjoy it, as long as you're happy, and as long as you have the regret orbs or the like skill regrets later on to change over to Death Soot, then you do whatever you want, you know, like everyone to their own. This league, I would suggest maybe going Caustic Arrow, Toxic Rain if you feel like Poisonous Concoction is going to be a problem, or if you don't really like it. I don't really know what else is good, so I would love to take some suggestions if people know like very good leveling strategies for this kind of a build. If you have any suggestions or any ideas, then feel free to share them to me here on YouTube or put them in my Discord, because I have a lot of people asking right now, like, what am I going to do? What am I going to level with? But this is what I'm going to say. Personally, I'm going to keep sticking to Poisonous Concoction. So the change that they made was basically that, like, when you use Poisonous Concoction, you throw a bunch of flasks that like deal poison damage and stuff like that, right? It would take more damage from your life flask if you had a life flask on your character. Like, it would take charges from your life flask and apply like the health regen stuff, like the recovery here, 996 life over 4 seconds. Like, it would take the recovery of life on your life flask, and it would apply a chunk of that to the damage of the Poisonous Concoction. So that's why it's very important to have like good flasks with like high recovery, because then you get more damage. And people have been playing Poisonous Concoction for many leagues now because it's very, very strong for leveling. I've used it twice in the last 2 league starts. I played with Poisonous Concoction for my Death Soot league starter, and it's been amazing. But they changed it now, so it doesn't only take like a couple of charges from like, I think it was like, it took like 2 charges, or it could take 2 charges from your flask whenever you use Poisonous Concoction. And now instead, it takes 1 charge from 1 flask per projectile that you throw. So if you have like 6 projectiles on your Poisonous Concoction, it's gonna take 6 charges out of your life flask. And a lot of people are like, oh, this is gonna be so bad now, like you can't level with it anymore and all that stuff, like how are you gonna sustain your life flask and everything? But then I started thinking, and I was like, well, in the past I didn't really have a problem with it because, you know, it wasn't a change. Like, the damage was fine, and I loved having it. And I would usually roll 2 or 3 life flasks while leveling. I would have 2 or 3 life flasks while leveling. And I started looking into like the numbers of like, okay, so if you have like 5 projectiles and you throw this much and blah, 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 and that's going to take up this many charges from 1 life flask. And then once my first life flask is depleted, it's going to start taking from my second life flask and then my third life flask. So like, how easy is it to sustain this if I just throw like a maniac and just lose all my flask charges? Well, the thing is, in the past and right now as well, we get replenishing remedies. So this is a thing that gives you flask charges gained, first of all, and then life flasks gain 1 charge every 3 seconds. So every single one of our flasks gain, life flasks, gain 1 charge every 3 seconds. And then you have replenishing remedies, which gives you more flask charges gained, and life flasks gain 2 charges every 3 seconds. And then on top of that, you also have life flasks gained 1 charge every 3 seconds. So here you have 4 flask charges gained every 3 seconds, alongside with 25% increased flask charges gained. So to me, when I do the math at least, and I'm not really a math person, I'm like, I gain 4 to 5 flask charges every 3 seconds on all of my life flasks. If every time I throw, I use up 5 flask charges, I have 3 life flasks or 2 maybe, my flasks have about 30 charges. To me, it sounds like it's going to be quite easy to sustain. Like, I don't really see this as a problem. I can understand that if you're playing Poisonous Concoction and you don't really have this, then you might run into some issues, unless you are like regaining flask charges quite often. But if you have this, I don't really see this as going to be an issue. So personally, I will league start once again this league, 3rd time in a row. I will league start with Poisonous Concoction on this build. I will play it until maps. I will keep it around in maps for a while until I have my Death Soot armor set up with a 4 or 5 socket at least. And I have a little bit of spare money, and I feel like I'm comfortable swapping over to Caustic Arrow once I'm in maps. So I'm going to play like this. And my idea, and I'm going to link this path of building as well. This is the leveling path of building that is like the old one with the 3.20 skill tree. I'm not really going to update this because it takes too much time and I'm kind of busy this week because of school and everything. But like, you can still kind of use the skill tree in a way. But this right here, 3.21 PC early tree, this is the important one. What you need to do right now, if you want to level with Poisonous Concoction this league, is that you need to rush straight down to replenishing remedies. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go here, I'm going to go down here, I'm going to go through Trickery and Blood Siphon and Coordination. I'm going to go straight down to replenishing remedies and get all these things here. Then it is very important to get Fatal Toxins in the Poison Mastery, and then go down to Swift Venoms. And you will get replenishing remedies early in Act 2, and we start using Poisonous Concoction anyway at the end of Act 1 or the start of Act 2, so it's gonna be pretty good timing there. And then Poisonous Concoction isn't really that strong until you get Fatal Toxins, the Poison Mastery, and like Swift Venoms, something like this. Because you need like 100% poison chance, and you need like all the damage that this applies and everything. So in like late Act 2, early or mid Act 3, when you have all these things, and like when you get like entropy and stuff like that, this is going to start feeling really good. And I do not think that the new changes to Poison Concoction is going to be a problem once you have replenishing remedies and the Flask Mastery as well. So this is what I'm going to do, and once I have all of this, I'm just going to look at like all the other skill trees, like, okay, what do I usually get now? Like, oh right, I can start going up here, like I can get Blood Drinker, and then I can go get Atrophy, and you know, Growth and Decay, and like, all right, what else do I get? Like Act 8. Oh yeah, I already have all this. Well, maybe I can get the Revenge of the Hunted and Wasting, and then Charisma if I need that as well. And like, all right, what's next here? Right, I start going up to Heart of Darkness, and this is going to be like your skill tree, kind of. It's going to be what we're already getting, but you just path through here now instead of like pathing through here. So that's something that you're going to have to fix later when you start swapping over to Caustic Arrow and you start dropping all these nodes, because we're not playing Poisonous Concoction anymore. Like, you drop all this stuff, you know, and you drop this eventually when you start playing Caustic Arrow, that is. But like, yeah, I think it's going to be pretty smooth and going to be pretty easy, but I can't really tell 100%, like I can't be 100% sure right now because I haven't tested it. But obviously I will play this league start, and I will league start with this, and I will give another update video on it later and give my feedback on it and my opinion on it. If it was bad, or if someone else came up with a better idea, I will update the guide and I will change how the leveling works. But for now, this is what I'm going to stick to, is at least for me. And if that works for you, I don't know. But yeah, like I said, feel free to tell me in Discord or right here on YouTube if you have any ideas for leveling and all that stuff, or if you think this was bad or good, or you're like, bro, you should do this instead. This is insane, you know. One update I can give is that I will not be streaming on Friday during the league start because I'm going out with friends. Instead, I'm hopefully streaming either Saturday or Sunday when I actually start league starting myself. I'll be a day or two late, and I'm going to do my best to catch up there as well. One last thing I want to talk about as well is that because of like changes to this league and changes to like you know, poison stuff and like meta builds and all that shit, I do believe that the meta will change quite a bit, and playing like this heavy poison, heavy chaos damage type of builds is not really going to be very popular anymore. And because the meta changes, this actually impacts our build quite nicely. Because if you look at the gear that we use, like we have, for example, the Impressions Onyx Amulet, which is a very big item for us. That has been very expensive in the past 2 leagues because a lot of people want it. First of all, yes, it's expensive early on because it drops from Elder and it's still a pretty niche item, and people understand that some people want it. And my Dead Zone build are getting a little bit more popular as well, so it might, you know, the prices will change based on that. But in the past, a lot of people wanted this amulet due to the meta, and with the meta changing, I don't think this amulet is going to be that sought after anymore. And the same goes for the Transcendent Mind Cobalt Jewel. I think that all these things will be cheaper this league, which is better for us. Hopefully that's the case, at least. And everything else, I guess it's going to be the same, you know. I don't think any of the other gear, like, it's pretty standard gear set up for anyone who plays, so I think that's going to be somewhat the same. But yeah, and then like the Cluster Jewels as well. I think the Cluster Jewels is going to be more cheaper because not as many people are playing this anymore. So that's at least what I'm hoping for. I can't guarantee it, but that's what I'm hoping for at least. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'll give you an update video on how everything went for me a couple of days into the league, and I'll give another update video later on in the league. And yeah, otherwise you can always watch my channel, twitch.tv/burgerbrush. You can also join my Discord if you want to. That's it. That's all I have to say for now. And good luck with your league start. If you're playing Dead Zone, I hope you enjoy it. If you have any problems or questions, feel free to join my channel or join my Discord. Ask me anything you want. I'll do my best to help, as always. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.